So maybe you've heard the joke that there are only two things that are guaranteed in life: death and taxes. Well, today we're talking about taxes. Today we're going to talk about taxes and specifically how it relates to the table game of casino craps. Now, someone may have told you that your craps winnings aren't taxable, or gambling winnings aren't taxable, or only slot machines, whatever you get, W-2G form, are taxable. Well, I'm not a lawyer, but that is absolutely not the case. Any craps winnings that you make, any gambling winnings, you are responsible, and the IRS expects you to report those as gambling winnings. Now, you just play for entertainment, or a couple $100 here and there. Maybe you feel like you don't have that much in winnings, or you have losses. I'm going to set the ethics aside of whether you absolutely should report your taxes, but you are legally responsible to do it. So let's get into some more of the details about this. So let's first talk about a W-2G. Now, if you play slots or have been around the casino and seen someone filling out paperwork after a big win at the slot machine, what they're filling out is the paperwork for the casino, but they're basically it's a report or a form W-2G. Now, depending on the amount of the win, they may or may not take withholding or withhold taxes from your winning when you get that W-2G. But anytime a W-2G is filled out, what that is they're reporting to the government that John has won, $2,000. So they report that to the government, and then whether they withhold or they don't withhold, you're going to be responsible for taxes on that $2,000. Now, the rules are different for different games. For instance, bingo and slot machines, the threshold is $1,200. So if you win $1,200 or more, you're given a W-2G. Keno is $1,500. A poker tournament is $5,000. And craps, though, is a little different. It fits underneath a different category. To trigger a W-2G in the game of craps, or basically any table game, it has to meet two conditions. The first one is you have to win $600. Let's say you've worked up to a $500 place bet on the 5. That $500 is going to pay out $700. So that meets the first requirement. You've won $600. The second part is that you have to be paid 300 times the amount of the wager. So in this case, you would need to be paid 300 to 1 on the place bet 5. Well, this pays 7 to 5, nowhere near 300 to 1. And actually, why you hardly ever see a W-2G on the craps table is because none of the bets in the standard game come anywhere close. The highest is basically a hot bet, like the 12 and 1 or any of the hot bets. They're going to pay 30 to 1. So we're still nowhere close to the 300 to 1 threshold. So again, it has to be $600 in winnings or more, and you have to get paid off at a 300 to 1 payoff. Now, there are a couple side bets that meet this requirement. For instance, the fire bet. A lot of times you may see if you hit all 6 points on the fire bet, and I have a video that describes what the fire bet is, but if you hit a fire bet side bet for all 6 points, sometimes the payouts are $500,000 or more to 1. Now, recently I've seen tables marked lower, so they pay off lower after, let's say, only 3 hits or 3 points hit. And that way they can justify lowering a 6-point fire bet to 299 to 1. So they get just below that threshold, because what happens is as soon as the fire bet is rolled and the bet is 300 to 1 or more, they stop the game. They have to get everyone's information, because W-2Gs are required by the casino to be reported to the IRS, because you've met the standard. Typically, you're going to have one 300 to 1, and you're probably going to have one more than $600. Now, the fire bet is the only side bet that I know of that has some layouts that pay more than 300 to 1. I know I've seen a sharpshooter side bet that pays 299 to 1, and again, it's probably just underneath that threshold, so they could avoid that W-2G and basically disrupting the game. So yes, under almost every condition at the craps table, no matter how much you win, thousands and thousands of dollars, the casino is not going to report those winnings to the IRS. So it is up to you to be responsible or ethical enough to report on yourself, or notify the IRS when you file your taxes that, yes, I earned so much money this year gambling. Now, for many of us, we may play low amounts and just assume it's a very difficult game to beat. And so maybe we assume, well, yeah, I probably lost for the year, so I'm not even going to bother. I'll leave that to you and your conscience, but technically you should keep track of your wins. And here's the key, you should keep track of your losses. The IRS does allow you to deduct your losses from your wins. So you can, if you itemize your deductions and taxes, and I'm not going to get into all that, but you have to keep a record basically of your wins and losses. Now the IRS says you have to keep an accurate diary or similar records such as receipts and tickets. So really the nicest thing to do is for each session, October 5th started with 500, ended with $1,500 profit, the next time. And that's probably a good rule of thumb to keep track of, to know how you're doing with the game overall. But if you want to deduct your losses from your gambling wins, and you do plan on reporting your gambling wins or losses to the IRS, then you need to keep track of it in a journal or something like that. Now, I've heard a lot of people suggest maybe don't do it in a computerized spreadsheet, which would be nice, because if there's any real question, they could say, well, you could have just created this yesterday or whatever. So a lot of people just say, keep a little handwritten journal. Now, I've never bought in or cashed out for $10,000 or more, but maybe you're a little bit bigger player than I am and you have gone to the window and they've asked for your name and social security number. This is a completely different situation. What they're asking you your info for is because they're going to report a CTR, or currency transaction report. This doesn't go to the IRS that you had $10,000. Well, it doesn't go to what it goes to is the Financial Crimes Division of the IRS. And basically what they're trying to do is keep track of money laundering, or they're trying to track down criminals, trying to exchange large amounts of money and that sort of thing. So as long as you're a decent person and you're exchanging, you bought in for $5,000, you doubled up or whatever, you cash in $20,000, it's not a big deal. But the casino is required to report that CTR, or that currency transaction report, to the government. So if you have a few of those a year, it's really not a big deal. And again, they're not reporting that that's income. So whether you tell the IRS that you had winnings or not, again, that's up to you, but they're not reporting that. What they're reporting as there was a transaction over $10,000, just to keep an eye on things. Now, some people that makes them really nervous, but again, they're not reporting it as income. But some people are like, well, if I have $10,000, maybe I can just cash in at 10 different tellers at $1,000 a piece, and then there wouldn't be a CTR. Not very good idea. I mean, technically, or maybe you could do that, but that is what the IRS calls structuring, and that is a federal crime. So they're looking out for that sort of thing. So if the casino notifies you, they'll actually fill out an STR, or a suspicious transaction report, and go, I don't know, this felt a little weird. This guy cashed in for $5,000 at my window. Later in the evening, he cashed in $4,000, and then in the morning, he cashed in another $1,000. So it's a little fishy that he cashed in $10,000 and tried to avoid the CTR. Another thing, if you go up to the cashier and you're like, here's $11,000 to cash in, and they go, sure, just give me your name and social security number. They'll explain what it is, and you go, you know what, I'll just cash in $9,000 in chip. Again, they're probably going to file that STR, or suspicious transaction report, against you. If you're an upstanding gambler, you have nothing to worry about. Again, it's just to catch money laundering and that sort of thing. So if you've had a great win, enjoy the win. Congratulations. Cash in the big win, $10, $20, $30, $50,000, whatever it is, and enjoy yourself. Again, it's not reported as taxes. That's up to you. Again, unless you hit a fire bet and you see and receive a W-2G, the IRS has no idea what kind of winnings or losses you have. Again, that I keep saying again, but that is up to you to self-report. Technically, it is the law. Whether many or even a small percentage of gamblers actually do that, yeah, that's something else. So I'm not a lawyer or an accountant, but I do know that that's how that works, and it's pretty basic. Again, W2G gets reported if you win 600 or more at a bet of 300 to 1 odds. Again, that applies to almost nothing on the table, so you will almost never be reported to the IRS for any winnings. That is up to you to self-report if you'd like. And again, you should always keep track of your winnings and your losses, because you can deduct your losses from your winnings. Let's say maybe you won $80,000 for the year, but lost $75,000. You would only be responsible for taxes for $5,000 in winnings. I hope this video was informational and helpful to you, and you can consider, now that you have the information, whether you are going to report your gambling winnings or not. That is up to you, and I hope you do win. I hope you do have gambling winnings. And until next time, good luck on coloring up.